Everyone,
We're live.
we are live. We are. It does. It says it.
I figured it out, I think.
Yeah. Did you do it? Did you really do it?
Well, let's see. If anybody is on this live stream right now, which I don't really know if we can tell if anyone is.
I don't know.
We have never live streamed through YouTube. We've
Never.
live streamed through lots of other mediums, but never YouTube. This is our first live stream through YouTube.
I wonder if I can.
I scheduled it. So that was the other thing. It's not like I just said let's go live now. I scheduled it, which adds a whole nother component.
So what account is this on, honey?
This is on our M and Scott.
So I could probably get on my end.
So if anybody is watching,
my end,
if you could put in the chat that you can hear us and you can see us, that would be really helpful. Because I do see a little chat down here.
What should I look for?
I see a little chat. If you're watching this live stream and you can see that chat, let me know. If you can see us,
oh, wait a minute. I'm looking
let us know. I don't see anything. So we can tell that this is actually good. Oh, wait. I think somebody is letting us know.
Yeah.
Somebody. Oh, yes. Good old Cy.
I knew it.
Good old Cy.
Oh, wait.
To the rescue. Our favorite English best buddy to the rescue to save us. So we're live, honey.
Oh, that's.
Paula says, I can hear you and see you. See, there we go.
That's fantastic. See, we have people.
We're live.
I was trying to do this, and apparently this would have taken me for a month to try to figure out. So.
Okay, so now that we have discovered that we are live and speaking to you all, welcome. Welcome to our very first ever YouTube live stream. Like I said, we've done lots of other kinds of lives through other mediums, but never through YouTube. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here with us today. You may not watch this live. You may, because this will be available on our channel after forever. Forever. This in 5 years from now, someone may watch this. Which time is an illusion.
5
So
years?
we're speaking to somebody 5 years from now.
Oh, got it.
So thank you for coming to us.
So what are we talking about today? See, I like to get right down. I don't like to waste people's time. I like to get right down to brass tacks, honey, and really get people into what are we talking about today?
We're talking about ketamine and spirituality.
Ketamine, spirituality.
So where I think we can start this, because this could be a very big conversation, right?
Yes.
So I think a really great starting point to talk about ketamine and spirituality is, how about we both answer, what does the word spirituality mean to us? And then we'll talk about what ketamine actually is.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
What does spirituality mean to you? What would you describe spirituality as?
Well, it's an ends to a goal. Scratch that. It's a means to a goal. Okay. So it's a tool. This is kind of, I guess, popped into my head. It's a tool to get me to my goal. And I think my goal is pretty much like anybody else's goal. The goal would be to live a happy life. I mean, a happy, connected, trusting life. And trusting, I mean trusting in something that is not me physically, that I am connected to, that it's got my back, right? So I think that's what spirituality is, the tool that, whatever that means to me, it's universe, God, force, energetic, this thing that I know has my back and my trust level in it. If I have 100% trust in that, man, that's so great. But as humans,
I feel like in the third dimension, you could never 1000%, because that would ruin the game then, right?
So what's a good percentage then? Is it trusting 50%, which I think honestly is high. I think 50%, because in trusting to let it go by our humanness, right? Doing something in our humanness. How do we let that go and just trust that it's just going to show up, manifest outside my door? So it's amazing how this has kind of, and not to go down a road here, but in our evolution, even in the last 10 years, right? If I wanted something, I would have to go to stores to try to find it. Now I can basically just go on the interweb, and I can go to my Amazon and I can click something and it shows literally up at my door within a day or two, which is kind of amazing when you think about it, what we used to have to do in order to get a product, or, so.
Which can be a slippery slope.
It can definitely be a slippery slope, but it goes with
balance, right?
It goes with, and this is kind of lends into my belief of what spirituality is the conversation between Dr. Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra, where Dr. Wayne Dyer said, okay, so explain enlightenment to me. And, Chopra, Deepak said, okay, in a simple terms, you want ice cream. And you're sitting in your chair in your house, you want ice cream, you put on your coat, you get your keys, you get in your car, you go to the store, you buy ice cream, you come back, you spoon it out, you put the rest in the freezer, and then you sit down, and in an hour, you have ice cream. Next level of awakening, next level of spirituality is you want ice cream. And you go to your freezer, the ice cream is there, you dish it out, you sit in, 5 minutes, you have ice cream. The next level would be your son is getting ice cream and you say, hey, Junior, how about some? And boom, you don't even have to get up out of your chair, and there's the ice cream. And then finally, the final step is you want ice cream and it shows up in a bowl in your hand. So that to me is the levels of spirituality, of the levels of awakening. You hear so much about people saying, I've awakened, or, this awakening journey. We talk about it. We use that, but it is only just to get back to trusting, building the device, right? Building the connection that brings whatever you want into your life easier and manifests without your humanness getting into it. And that, to me, is spirituality. The more you can trust it, the faster it comes, the more. But again, we have to let go of our humanness,
right? So
we can connect to it. We have to get out of our way. And again, when you talk about spirituality and ketamine, which I know we'll get to the ketamine part, ketamine is.
Well, let's wait, because you'll go down a road there.
I wasn't going to.
I have to rein you in, honey.
I wasn't.
No. So I heard Christina Lopes say a definition of spirituality, and she said basically anything that's beyond our five senses. And I tend to really resonate with that. I think spirituality, when you talk about that thing that you can trust, well, the reason why it's so hard to trust it is because we can't experience it with our five senses, right? We don't know for sure it's there because we can't see it, taste it, touch it, hear it, smell it.
True that.
So anything that is beyond those known five senses to me is spirituality. The other thing that I would add to your explanation, beautifully shared by Deepak and Wayne, is I think for me in my own journey of spirituality and spiritual growth, there's levels, right? You get to the first level, then you kind of get that, and then that gets, a new light is shown, you get the net, blah, blah, blah. So I think for me, where I'm at in my spiritual growth right now, the first part is actually the thing that you just shared. I think taking it one step further is asking, why do you want the ice cream? Like, what is it that your ego potentially is trying to fulfill to make you feel better? So I think the next level is it transcends the need to manifest something, and it transcends into how can I be an open channel for something to move through me to manifest what is in that greatest interest.
Well, again,
not my own egoic
going
interest.
back to mine, the ultimately spirituality to me is what is, it leads you to a happy and fulfilled life. That is just the most simplistic way I can put it. You feel connected to something outside of you that is you, that is you, no question. You embody it, and it leads you to a fulfilled and happy life.
Yeah.
Because all those things, it's all going to funnel down to happiness and fulfillment.
Sure. And I I tend to always think Tony Robbins used to talk about this a lot, and this isn't true for everybody, but I think for a portion of us, that you feel fulfilled when you're growing, and that if you stop growing, you stop feeling fulfilled. And I tend to, really resonate with that.
Sure.
Yeah. I think some people are satisfied without growing, but I think there's a lot of us out there that when we're stagnant, we get stuck. Yeah. And so when we're stuck, it's because we're not growing. And, I think I think spirituality and, everything that you shared and I shared is just about being able to connect with that more and let go of the ego self more.
Which is very difficult to do.
Very, very challenging.
Because
which will bring us to the next topic, which is ketamine. So do you want to?
Sure. So I think the reason what I started to say there is why it's so difficult to overcome or move past or slip out of the way for a little bit the ego, because the ego is part of the humanness that we are, and for a long time it took me not to really understand what ego was. Right, because we say, "Oh, ego! He's got a big ego." That football player, he's got such a big ego, or whatever. It's not really that. You can have a very strong ego. You could have a very weak ego, like so everybody walks all over top of you. That's ego too. So ego is just how we react. In just a different
form, right? It's the same 100%. Thing, just other end of the pole.
But we live in this matrix that is so real that when you go to eat the carrot, you're eating a carrot. You are in the video game. Yeah. And I think we've had enough science that has shown that there's nothing out there that you are, interacting with. It's all inside you. I think there is enough evidence of when you break down, the double slit experiment, when you break down subatomic particles and how they moved with how the scientists thought they should move. And when the scientists didn't look, they just did every possibility, right? When you get into, the numbers, with Don Hoffman, like he'll explain, there's nothing out there. You think there's something out there. Well, it's our ego that kind of puts this puzzle together. And it puts it together with taste, with smell, tactile, touch, right? And seeing, hearing, obviously all the things, right? So if we know that now, which obviously, listen, there's enough evidence out there that shows that. And if we want to be progressive and if we want to believe that, now how do we create our reality? Now, how do I get these 5 senses that I have to focus in on creating what I really want? Well, first off, you need to know what you really want, right? And then you have to overcome this ego habit that you have that says, no, that's not possible. You want $1 million tomorrow? I'm sorry, that's not possible. And again, we think we want the million. We don't want the million. We want the feeling it's going to give us of the freedom of
right.
Whatever.
And I think your and I's conversation has changed both internally in our relationship.
I think it always has to change.
Right.
Because
we work with, because we would have years ago said, okay, we're going to help you manifest $1 million. Now we say, okay, it's not really the $1 million.
Yeah, it's not the $1 million at all. Because we thought that.
Yeah.
And that's not it at all. Yeah. It isn't. It's the freedom. It's to be where you want to be with who you want to be when you want to be. Right. So we've tried and so many people have tried meditate, breath work, and listen, it works. There's no question that it works. Absolutely. Worked for me. Yeah. So, but it's kind of like me saying to somebody who is on this spiritual journey, okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to get on this road and I want you to walk 500 miles. Well, why am I going to get on this road? And why am I going to walk for 500 miles? Just trust me. When you get to that 500-mile mark and you see the vision that you're going to see, when you feel what you're going to feel coming to this place, this environment, your life is going to change in an instant. But it's going to take that 500 miles to get there. I don't know why they're going through this lifestyle journey, walking day after day after day, meditation every day, because we all know that brings shit up. You know, the breath work is going to bring up feelings that you have hidden down there. You've just shook up the glass, you know, the snow globe, and all that stuff starts to flutter around. Ketamine, what that does is it takes the ego and it slides it out of the way for 1 hour. And in that hour, you become, you get to the 500-mile mark. You see, oh, wait a minute.
That's what I'm working towards.
This is what I've always wanted. This is what, oh, and this doesn't matter, and this doesn't matter, and this doesn't. I thought that mattered. That doesn't matter. I thought all this money mattered. That doesn't matter. I thought this would matter. That doesn't matter. Oh my God, this is the clarity I need. And then boom, you're back in your 3D reality within an hour, hour and a half. And suddenly you start to, you know, trust. You start to have a new perspective. You have a vision that you felt that will absolutely change everything. It changed everything for me because it gave me that trust even more. I can trust this because I've been there. Not only did I get to the 500-mile mark and did I see who I really am, I am the source that I, Scott, have been trying to trust. I'm that thing.
I'm on my phone because I wanted to pull up somebody's share that was at our last retreat. I want to make sure to read that. And
to wrap that all up, it isn't just the 1 hour that does it. You have taken in this technology. It is technology
for sure,
and now it is working with you. And you get in these moments where you go back into getting angry at your husband or reacting to your husband doing something, and then you get into the feeling of that uncomfortability, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's an interesting reaction. Why did I have that reaction? That's an egoic reaction that I know that is not true. So let me change that. Let me see if I can work on this. That's where the power actually comes from ketamine. It is, the journey is fantastic and will give you enlightenment like you won't believe. But the residual of what it does, it keeps working inside you. It's the tool that you don't even know that you have. And all of a sudden it'll just show up and say, hey, remember me? I'm going to help you right now. You are having a reaction. This is an egoic reaction. Let's get there. I swear, if everybody in this world participated in this technology, this world would instantly change. In a month, this world would instantly change because all the reasons why people want power, all the reasons why people want money, it takes it away. It takes it away because you realize that none of that is necessary. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to I just want to feel good.
Well, and it shows you truth, you know. So let me pull that back just a moment and actually share with everybody who's watching now or maybe watching what ketamine actually is, because you may stumble upon here and you don't know who Scott and I are, and you just see ketamine and spirituality and you're like, what does that mean? So ketamine is actually anesthesia. It was created in
wartime. So I think it might have been Korean War, Vietnam War, or World War II.
Maybe Vietnam.
Korean War, maybe.
Anyway, they needed something to help soldiers in the field to perform surgery on very quickly, so they didn't have to put them under general anesthesia, meaning that they could still continue to breathe on their own. They wouldn't remember anything. Those were the two things that they needed. So ketamine is a drug that was created by a human being. So it's not like it's something that comes natural from the earth, but so it works wonders for performing surgeries like that. They use it in emergency rooms today. That's what ketamine is used for. It's illegal. It is not illegal. It is a legal substance used in emergency rooms for the same reason, to put children. So it's super safe. That's why they use it, because of the safety profile.
Yeah, they use it on very,
children,
very young children.
They use it on adults, and they use it in the emergency room to put them out to do quick procedures so that they will continue to breathe on their own. They won't remember. However, once they started finding about 20 to 30 years ago, is that when given in very small doses, that people had profound transformations that had struggled with depression and anxiety.
And addiction.
So they were, when they started re-amping psychedelic studies once again, This is why they look at ketamine as a form of psychedelic. It's not the traditional psychedelic, but it gives you a dissociative effect. What that means is that you literally disassociate from the self. And so this is why for us, when we experienced the ketamine retreat we went to back in June of this year, we had never done ketamine in our life, didn't even really know anything about it. We've been on a spiritual awakening journey for some years now. We studied Dr. Joe Dispenza, went to many of his workshops and retreats. We've studied Michael Singer, we studied Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle. So all these profound spiritual teachers. We meditate. I'm a breathwork instructor. So these are practices that Scott and I have had in our life for a very long time. So we had been doing a lot of inner work for many years, a lot of inner work. We went to this ketamine retreat, not knowing, but knew we needed to change. We were at a point in our life where we were stuck. We were stagnant. We needed something to shift. And so we went to ketamine retreat. We did the ketamine, and the first thing that we realized was, wow, knowing what we know, right? With the breath work, with the meditation, with what it requires to have spiritual growth, this is exactly what this technology did. It allowed us. So if you are fans of any of those spiritual teachers, almost all of them, I think, talk about meditation or breath work, and/or breath work, right? Meditation, why? To quiet the mind, to get the ego self, the person that you think you are, out of the way and connect with the truth of who you really are, right? So you can spend hours and years in meditation, like Scott said.
I'm going to pull the shade down.
You can spend...
I am really over you, honey.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
There we go.
Oh, that didn't help you. It's one of these.
I think it might be that one over there, actually.
We're going into the darkness.
I think it might be over there. Anyway, so as Scott was saying, if you're going on a 500-mile trip, but you don't know where you're going, about 200 miles in, and it's like, hard work, you're going to be going, man, is this really all worth it?
Yeah.
So what the ketamine did for us was it gave us an hour, like he said, to be at that place where we saw
hour
truth.
Peak.
It's
the preview to what you're actually
into truth.
Yeah, truth. And this
pure
is what,
and simple truth.
And so being part of, a spiritual community, Dr. Joe Dispenza community, which we went to many workshops, and the whole goal, and, very quickly, my first meditation in my very first workshop, I had a moment where I experienced the pop, as the community would say, the pop. And the pop is basically going out of body. I experienced something that drastically changed. It was not me. I came out of my body in a meditation. Don't know how to explain it any more than that. And I became something that I had not been. I was free. And that moment, and I would say it probably lasted maybe 10 seconds, completely changed my life. 180-degree turn in my life. That 1 10-second moment changed everything for me. And that then became the new goal, to chase that. I need to feel that again. I need to touch that again. Whatever that was, I need to touch it again, because I touched the hand of God. That's really what I felt. And it was so transformative. So I think that kind of became the thing in, the Dr. Joe community is, have you had the pop? Has that happened to you? What did it feel like to you? And being lucky enough to be able to do that, and to be able to get myself to a state where I could have that maybe 1 out of 8 meditations or 10 meditations, which is enormous. When ketamine was first introduced to us, and and going to this retreat and being interviewed or whatever, my question was, what can I expect? And then the person said, okay, so in meditation, what do you say? I said, well, I've gone out of body. And she goes, that's it. And I said, what, to go out of body? She goes, you will experience that, and you will experience it for much, much longer. And you will have an amazing experience, I promise you. And no words that she said could ever compare to the experience that I had personally. Again, transformative, because as she said, it took me past that 200-mile mark. If I never had that pop, this will give it to you. But it does it in the softest, most gentle and unintrusive way. So
I think what's really important to add to what you just said, because many people have asked us that have been interested in coming to one of our retreats, which, by the way, is why we're doing this live, is to share about the retreats that we now hold, Ketabreath retreats, and to share the process of what we do there and why we use ketamine and spirituality as sort of the backbone for our retreats. So I think it's really important to say, because he shared something, he had the pop and then it was the chase after the pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think why we differ in our retreats and then post-retreat integration, because equally as important, right? A lot of people ask, well, how can you become addicted, right? Because when we tell people about ketamine, they either know it as a horse tranquilizer or a party drug, which is so beyond crazy to me, because I could not imagine taking it and being at a party. At a retreat, you have blindfolds on, you're in a meditation, right? So people ask, well, can you get addicted to it? And which is a really valid question. So this is what I have to say. I'm a previous addict, speaking as somebody that can talk about addiction. I've been on and off addicted to things since I was 12 years old. Really always on the search for that feeling to get out of my body, right? And so meditation and Dr. Joe did become, in some sort of way, an addiction. I needed to keep going so I could have that sensatiable feeling. And anything, this is where I'm at in my journey now, and hope to help others in my own spiritual growth. Anything could be taken to an extreme. I don't care what you are talking about. Meditation, money, all of those things are neutral. It is up to each individual consciousness that can turn it into too much or too little, which is why balance. And this is why our retreats are different. Because number one, you have the ketamine, which will take you out of your body. You will experience a dissociative effect. You will experience truth. You will experience an experience beyond your ego for an hour. You will experience that. However, Scott and I understand that your life cannot be a chase for that, because you won't live a life. You'll be constantly on a chase to experience that. The thing that you need to do is bring in balance, which is why we use breathwork along with ketamine, because we saw the power of breathwork and people integrating into their body. Breathwork is for the body. It's going to bring shadows up in you. That's what breathwork does. It's going to bring uncomfortable feelings up for you, but you can take that to an extreme. I've seen people that are on a healing journey and they can't get out of that loop because they're way too stuck in the deep muck and they have forgotten who they really are, which is what the ketamine does. It reminds you of who you really are. So in our retreats, we bring the ketamine and we bring the breath work and we bring meditation. Why? So you're not on the addictive chase just to get out of your body. So you can use that as a tool, as he said, to go, this is the truth of who I really am. The art of looking in is finding the truth of who you really are. That's what the art of looking in is about. It gives you a glimpse into who you really are. And then you must integrate that into your body. You must learn how to live from that more and more and more. When Scott talks about trusting, what he means is living in that state more and more, so that experience isn't just an experience that you have in ketamine. It starts to become an experience that you live from all of the time. And so the breath work brings that into your body. It integrates it into your body. We spend the whole last day at our retreats talking about integration. And I want to share with you, this is a perfect time then to share with you what somebody posted in our Facebook group. She went to our ketamine retreat in Taos just a couple weeks ago. She had never done ketamine before. She's been on a spiritual journey for a bit. She's been to a couple Dr. Joe Dispenza workshops. She was currently doing one of my mini courses with breathwork and with the root and the sacral. And so she's been doing a lot of this work, and her and her husband came to our retreat. And so this is what she shared. This was just one day ago. This is now post-retreat to almost 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Almost,
3 weeks. So she says, I thought I'd share some things since the retreat, talking about integration, right? It's been a couple weeks. I am noticing more changes. Of course, I had immense changes immediately with my heart opening, releasing so much shit, and with my husband. But as we know, day-to-day life is where it gets tough. Integration, right? Not the chase. I don't have the voice others speak of. I wish I did, LOL. But since ketamine, I instantly go deep when I close my eyes and take a breath. I go to Hot Springs, Arkansas once a month to sit in the thermal water and fill up jugs of water to take home. We are here today and I realize this even more. In the pool, I close my eyes, I take a breath, and I instantly feel my head start bobbing, and I try to hold it in. LOL. I am in public. But I notice I go instantly deeper, seeing shapes, colors, and energy moving. I also notice how much more I need nature. I love walking meditations and long for the beach. But even coming here, I realize why I am drawn here so much. This thousands-year-old thermal water is direct spring-fed from the mountains, and it grounds me. Also, as many of you know, we are in a very tough time right now. But I still see beauty in life, in my life especially. But random things, like a mom and her 2 daughters come to sit in the pools. It's their first time, and I got choked up because I thought it was just so beautiful for them to come together and share that. Christmas hasn't been the same since we lost our son, then daughter, and especially not since my dad died on Christmas Day. But this year, I do feel the spirit. The lights are beautiful. The season is beautiful. Families coming together. Just witnessing connections with all the people is fucking beautiful. Hold on, I had a little thing come up. Lastly, I felt blame, anger, resentment last night discussing some things with my husband. I was aggravated and I knew it was within me, but I didn't want to talk about it. He wanted to, but I knew I could not talk in that moment because it would not be truth. The point is, I was able to separate from those thoughts. They were there, but yet I knew they were just thoughts within me and knew not to react and let it move through. This is not normal for me. Today, I literally don't even remember what the conversation was that triggered me. So this is now post-retreat 3 weeks, right? Yeah. We saw this in the Dr. Joe community. People would go to the Dr. Joe workshops, which are amazing. By the way, everyone should go. They completely changed both of our lives. And then they would go home and they would struggle because they struggled with integration. They struggled with, how did I just feel so much love and truth in that 7 days with people I loved? And then I go back into my normal every day. They can't shift it. Why Scott and I say, and why I fully believe in our own journey have let these things come through us, is because ketamine is a technology that turns something on in your brain that leaves it on after. It works in you after, as she just described. When you talk about meditation, when you talk about becoming more spiritual, when you talk about connecting with the truth of who you really are, that means you're going to have to make different choices in your everyday life. You can't make different choices if you are so caught up in your ego, you can't separate. This is what observation is, and separation is, like she said, being able to see the thoughts but not react to them, to be able to stay in balance and in her center and say, right now, I'm not going to talk. And it passed. The next day, she couldn't even remember. Her life will fundamentally shift from that one moment, from just being able to pause and not react. Scientifically, what ketamine does to the brain is create neuroplasticity. Now, if you are a Dr. Joe Dispenza fan and meditator, you should know all about neuroplasticity, not just by Dr. Joe, but many other teachers talk about the power of neuroplasticity to change your brain to create a new life. This is what the ketamine does. It literally creates new neural networks opening so that you aren't stuck in the same old thoughts of behavior and thinking. When you're stuck in that, you can't change it. If you are stuck in a thought pattern, in a belief, you cannot change it because you're too wrapped up in it. But what ketamine does in many different ways, my experience in the journeys is different than his, is different from them, is different from them. It gives you what you need to hear in the way you need to hear it. And it may be the way you least expect it. I know for her it was. It came in a completely different way that she thought. But what it does is it literally opens up the neural pathways in your brain so that you can start thinking in new ways. If you start thinking in new ways, you start behaving in different ways, you start experiencing things differently because you now know truth. You now know some level deeper than what is beyond the egoic mind. And the egoic mind is just a program. It literally is a robot that we use so we can experience three-dimensional reality. But if you want to experience peace, harmony, balance, fulfillment, happiness in your life, You will never get it from coming from the ego because you will always be trapped in the mind. It will keep you in a loop always. And what ketamine does is it stops that freaking loop and it continues to work with you. And because of this, as somebody that was a former addict, I have no addiction or desire to continue using ketamine all the time in big doses. I do it maybe once a month, maybe once every 3, whenever it's feeling called to me, because I know I need to work on something deeper, but it is not something that is a chase for me, which has previously been my story in my entire life, is the chase.
And there is providers out there, Joyous and Mind Bloom, and there's several others that you can sign up for that is, like it's a microdose every day, or you do, so many journeys a month in a higher dose, so a higher dose may be 300 to 400 milligrams, and a, everyday dose may be 50 milligrams. And you're not going out, using the ketamine and dancing in the street or using heavy machinery. You're not doing that. You're doing it in a meditation. Yeah. You use it with the meditation. What we do is when you come to our workshop, explain to them on a daily basis what happens, what can I expect. Me being Joe Smith, I'm going to come to the ketamine retreat. Tell me about it. What can I expect?
Okay,
how does it work?
Yeah, so great question, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, so what to expect from a Keta Breath retreat. So it's 3 full days. You come there on the evening of the first night. We have a little group gathering. We should talk about intentions, talk about the medicine, talk about what to expect. We start the next morning, usually around 8:30 a.m.
Do we eat dinner the first night?
We eat dinner the first night.
We have a dinner together? Is that what it is?
Together.
See,
together. We eat dinner together. One of the most important aspects of this journey that you will take with us is the power of community, is the power of a group doing it together. These other providers that are allowing people to do it at home, it's singular. Even the clinics that are using it, people are doing it by themselves at home, which, hey, is very effective. And I believe when you have the power of a group, it's 10 times more effective because you're working with the group energy and with the coherence of the group, which is a whole other entity in and of itself. So we really spend a lot of time on creating coherence with the group, getting to know each other, breaking down walls, showing up truthful as they may feel in the moment, what they're working through. And so the first morning we do a ketamine journey, and we have a specific playlist of music that we've curated, because you always hear with psychedelics 2 very important things: set and setting. I will also add with ketamine is dosage, setting and dosage, which we have 2 physicians. We have 2 providers that are there with us at the retreat that help you figure out dosage and everything else.
And you meet with them prior.
Then we all do, well, not obvious. Scott and I and our 2 physicians don't do the journey, but then we all take you through a journey where it is in a meditation. You have blindfolds on. We do some ceremony before. It lasts about an hour. We have specific curated playlists that walk you through a journey because music is really important. You have some time after to process. We'll meet for lunch. Then in the afternoon, we usually do an integration session, meaning people sharing, how can we integrate what just happened? And then that's always followed by breath work, because of course, breath work is what's going to help you pull and integrate those experiences into your body. So you aren't just floating off into space. You're taking that, whatever you learned in that journey, because you will learn things and experience things. You go on a journey. It's why we call them journeys. You will go on a journey with your higher self, with your heart, with your spirit, with whatever you call it. You will go on a journey with something other than the human egoic self. You will experience truth beyond what you know in your everyday life. And so in order to integrate that experience into our bodies, we use breath work. I also want to add that we use breath work as a tool throughout your ketamine journey. So what that means is we teach you specific exercises, just a couple exercises that you can use in the ketamine journey. We teach those at the retreat.
Now, why do I need those?
Because you will learn how to use your breath throughout your journey to either expand your experience or ground you more. We're not going to go into that because those are for the retreats. So you must come to a retreat to learn that.
But so when you say breath work, what do I mean? What do you mean? Do I just, after my journey in the morning with laying down with everybody else, do I just get up and walk around the grounds and just breathe? What does that mean, breath work? What am I doing?
So what do you mean?
Well, obviously it's a meditation. So in the afternoon, the morning you do.
The morning we do the ketamine journeys.
I'm trying.
Oh, you walked away from me and didn't hear, honey.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay, I'm sorry.
So yes, we do a group, basically a group meditation with the ketamine, and then we have time after. You have time after to go and sort of process. And we go to lunch, then we come back, do integration, and then we do an actual breathwork journey in the evening. Without the ketamine. Each one is designed for a specific outcome and purpose for each day. Each day is designed with a specific intention in mind to take you on the journey.
And they are also in the group?
Yep. And then we will do dinner, and then we have evening sessions, which usually incorporate a lot of fun, a lot of the human aspect of it, right? Because spirituality can tend to get too serious if not in balance.
Karaoke.
So we bring some fun to the evening sessions. Fires. And of course, everything that we do at the retreat is you volunteered to do it. So none of it's required. You don't have to do any of it. You just come and sit there and do nothing. We're not going to force you to do any of it. It's all up to you and what you're being called to do. So that's what a typical day is, with some different exercises and things, obviously, that you'll experience throughout the 3 days that we're together. So who
generally comes to these retreats? And would I feel comfortable with those people?
Yeah, great question, honey. Great question. So this is the whole reason that we are doing this live today, is to help people understand who our retreats are for. So as I said, ketamine is being used right now very clinically. People who are struggling with treatment resistance, depression, anxiety. It's an amazing technology for those that need to figure out ways to move past the default mode network in their brain, to move past those habitual thought patterns. What we wanted to bring to it after we went to our first retreat, we said we have to do these. Every single person in the world should experience ketamine so they can experience truth. However, the aspect that we want to bring to it is for people that have already been on a journey of healing, we'll call it, of spiritual growth, of inner work, whatever word you want to put to it. People that have been working on themselves for a bit. So they know, I think this is within me. I think that I have the power to heal myself. I've done some things and released some trauma, or I've done some different modalities, but I want to take it just a little bit deeper.
So people with trauma, like sexual abuse, any kind of emotional abuse, people overcoming loss, that is such a big one.
That's a really big one.
I wish I could gather everybody that has lost either a partner or a child or somebody where their life is now totally affected, and because of that loss, the guilt that they may feel, the struggle that they may feel, the emptiness that they may feel. In 1 hour, I promise you will be connected with that. It is amazing for that. It's for people who are looking, as she said, for more. I want more connection in my life. I want that. I am on this spiritual journey, awakening, and I want to be around people that are like me, that don't necessarily fit in the box. I want to be out of the box. This is a perfect place for you to come. And the beauty about this is day one, when you do your smallest dose, coupled with a breathwork meditation, that is day one, you will come out of that closer to the people that you went through that experience with, probably more than the people that you hang out with day to day, because you come closer to yourself. That anxiety of being around somebody that you have never met before, trust me, when you come out of that, and even after night one, honestly, even the conversations that we have, night one, everybody starts to understand, oh, he's just like me. He feels the same thing I feel. She's just like me. She feels the same thing. She had that trauma. I have a loss, right? And it's the bonding that is the magic for us that we get to witness it. That's our payment. Honestly, it is just the most beautiful thing. So I think if you are somebody who is very clinically depressed, if you are suicidal, chances are you're going to want to go to a clinic and experience ketamine in a single in a use where there isn't a group first. Once you experience it and you have a positive result, which you will, a positive result from it, then I think a group setting would be for you, but initially I think you would need to do that on a one-on-one situation with a clinician in some type of a clinic environment. Yes?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the other magical quality about our retreats is that they're smaller and really intimate.
So how many people should I expect that will be at this retreat?
Anywhere from 9 to 18 at this point. 18 would be the maximum. So what we heard from the people who attended the last retreat, they said that they loved that intimacy because they felt safe, and I think for me, as my own journey and the trauma and the things that I've been through in my life, I for sure know that safety, feeling safe, is the number one absolute necessity in order to have a transformational experience. You will not do it if you don't feel safe. And so for me, creating an environment, creating a container, creating a space, creating a retreat, a workshop, that the whole entire framework and structure is built on safety is so, so, so important. And I think you and I do a really great job of providing that to people, place where they can feel safe to allow their true selves to emerge, because we all wear masks throughout our life. And I saw 9 people at our last retreat take off masks, and I saw them feel the liberation of taking off those masks. I saw them and felt them experience the truth of who they really are, and then be able to be that with a group of people. And when you can do that with a small group of people, you're going to start to be able to go do that in your everyday life. And I believe we will always have suffering if we cannot tap into the truth of who we really are.
So the people that came to your last retreat, did they come by themselves? I mean, do couples come to these? Again, great questions. You're welcome.
They are great questions. And I will say this has been something that I didn't expect. I don't think you expected, although.
I don't know.
So we had 3 couples at this last retreat. We have 4 already signed up for this one in March. We have 4 couples signed up. Now, as 2 people that met at a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat and left our previous lives, and of course experience our love, right? We saw of course we saw the opposite, right? It was the norm to see people go to Dr. Joe workshops and leave their marriages because one's growing and the other isn't. It's just a part of the process. It's an uncomfortable part of the process, but it's a part of the process. It's a difficult part of the process, but it happens. When one person grows and the other doesn't, most likely they're going to part ways, right? So for us to see couples coming to these retreats and growing together and experiencing that together, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, and the transformation in those 2 people in seeing the other person.
Oh my gosh.
Just unbelievable. And again, in an hour. This happens so quickly to come out of it and to then have 2 people who come in kind of apart. They kind of come in apart because he has his story, she has his story. Why can't she be this way? Why can't he understand this? And then suddenly they come in, and because their heart's open. And when your heart opens, you allow the other people to come into your heart. And that's what we have seen with couples, working with couples is they close their hearts down. And now there is no energetic bond.
That's right.
There once was, but then life got in the way, right? He said this, she didn't do this, and suddenly hearts are closed off. No one's healing. This is the place where your heart opens, and now you can see your partner in a different way. Why? Not because they changed, and they have. They have changed because you have changed. The viewer is viewing the thing differently. Different pair of sunglasses on, and man, what shows up? Just like, you know, the review or whatever that was, the testimonial that you read, suddenly lights are brighter. This is someone who lost two, not one, two children they lost, and didn't lose them in the woods. I mean, lost to life. And just think about how you bury yourself and to not feel that pain. And I watched her. I watched her in that moment, and what I was watching when she was in the journey was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen, because I knew it. It was being lifted from her, literally watching her being lifted out of her. It is a magical experience.
Yeah, I mean, I will say selfishly that yes, Scott and I do these retreats selfishly because while we are there and we watch people go through these journeys, we are bawling our eyes out. No shit.
My eyes out watching people.
We
do
know
this.
What they're experiencing.
You're watching healing.
Yeah.
You are watching somebody heal right in front of you.
Yeah.
I can watch the moment where I know the ketamine is starting to roll in. It's like a very gentle wave. I can see the moment where suddenly I can see the smile. I can see the arms go out. I can see the heart opening. It is the most beautiful thing. I love to share that because it is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have another question for you though.
Okay, hold on. Let me wrap up the last question in a very linear way, I guess you could say. So what can you expect from this retreat? You can expect your heart to be ripped open.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a massive heart opening, you can expect that. Number two, you can expect to get out of that default mode way of thinking. So you're going to expand your consciousness, meaning you're going to start seeing things in a completely different way. When something happens and you would react in a certain way, and then of course those things keep showing up because you're reacting in the same way, you're going to have a voice now that works with you after the journey, that allows you to separate and observe and go, I need to do something different. So you can expect integration to be different, more different than anything else. That is a very common theme of people we've walked journeys through, people that retreat. They say, I feel it integrating into my body in a way that nothing else has. Now, I am not saying ketamine is the only answer. Ketamine is the answer. I'm saying it is a answer. It is one path. And of course, like everything else, it could be abused in ways that it's not, just like anything else. But if you are honest in your quest to find out truth and to change your life and to become more connected with your spirit, with your soul, with the truth of who you really are, then that's exactly what you will experience in these retreats.
Okay, not another question. All right, so I was considering doing ayahuasca, and I was considering going to somewhere to do ayahuasca. The thing that made me nervous about ayahuasca was it seemed to be a very long journey. It seemed to kind of take over, and I could vomit and I could poop my pants and maybe pee all at the same time. So what's different in this journey compared to an ayahuasca journey?
So Scott and I were actually highly contemplating going and doing ayahuasca before the ketamine retreat. We are in a space in our life where we knew we needed to do something. So we had contemplated very seriously doing ayahuasca. And then ketamine found us. Yeah. And what we will say, I'll say it, and then you can add your 2 cents. Thank my God, my higher self, my spirit, all my guides, that it led me to ketamine first. And not saying ayahuasca is completely off the table now, because maybe someday I will. However, it allowed me to, I think, experience many of the benefits that ayahuasca can provide, and that you are able to have these mystical spiritual experiences without being under for 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, without puking your brains out, without shitting your brains out. Not to say that purging is an important part of the process. When you do a lot of breath work, you're going to purge. Your body will purge in many different ways. It's just a part of the process, but it's not as an intense as an 8-hour. When you're doing it with breath work, it's going to be gradual and it's not going to be so intense. But with ketamine, there is no purging. It's an hour long. It's not to where you are so out of control. It's very hard to explain until you've done a journey, but you are not so out of control. You're out. You lose control for sure. That's what getting out of the ego is. It's losing control. It's losing the grasp of what you think reality is. However, you're not so lost, especially with we don't do really big, huge, massive doses at these retreats because we're doing them in a group setting. So the doses aren't so huge that you're completely lost in the blackness. You still have some, it's like you're having a conversation with your higher self, but there's still some sense of control. I don't really know how to say it. So yeah.
Because I think that's, again, we teach you a breathwork technique when you're in the journey that you can use breath as a break. So if you say, okay, thank you, Grandma, because that's what I say. Ketamine is just a grandmother hug. You can say, okay, thank you, Grandma, but listen, I need a little break here. You can kind of put on the brakes a little bit. And then the opposite of that is, okay, Grandma, I want to see more. Show me more. And then you can use a breath work, a very simple breath that will take you higher into the journey itself. So I have another question for you. So these people that came to your last retreat, are they coming to the one that is the next one? Have any signed up for that one?
Yeah. So let's see, there was 9 total at our last retreat. And I believe 6 are signed up. 6 from that retreat signed up immediately, by the way.
Yeah.
To the March retreat. And I'll share with you, one of the participants that went with her husband, she shared on our integration calls, because we offer an 8-week integration after, which includes, some integration tools and 8 weeks worth of integration calls with us. But she shared on one of those that the reason she signed up, her and her husband had never done any psychedelic before, ever. This was their first time. I don't know, I'm not going to say their age. I don't know, but they're amazing. But she said that the most important reason why I signed up for March was to keep those roots in there, right? So like to really maintain the foundation, it's just like anything else. You have to maintain that foundation. And so really to be able to maintain that, she said it's really important to me to be able to maintain that. So of course I want to come in March because I know that it will just keep that structure and that foundation strong within that. And of course, anything that you do, I don't care whether you're learning to ski, snowboard, ride a bike, chess, like whatever it is, you're always going to be learning and implementing the basics too. You're always going to be doing that in anything you learn. So I think, like she said, it's important to keep those roots really solid. But I always tell everyone you should attend some kind of a retreat 1 to 2 times a year.
So my final question is that, okay, so let's say I come to this retreat and I will be there. But let's say I decide to come to this retreat and I have such a profound experience. I want to continue on doing journeys or, using the ketamine in microdosing or whatever. Do I is there something in place that you offer that I can continue with that? Or do I have to come back to another retreat?
No, we actually have.
You forgot. That is such a great question.
That is such a great question, honey. You asked the best question.
I was really on today with my questions.
We have a physician that we work with that is able to work with you for continued care after. So if you want to continue the ketamine journey at home, we work with her together with our integration program. So the two work hand in hand. Our physician, you have to be enrolled in either our integration program or some other program because you need to be able to have somebody to work through it. But yes, we have a package that we offer for after the retreats to continue, if that calls to you, to do that at home. So you don't just have to keep coming to retreats.
Awesome. Oh, and I did have, so just so everyone knows, so our team, we have Em and I, and then we have our physicians who, when you decide and you decide to, like, for this next one, it's you can put a small deposit down.
Nope, that time is over.
Oh, that time's over. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's say, you decide you want to come, you meet with us, and then we decide if you're a fit for it, and then we move forward, and then you meet with your physician, and then because again, another question I didn't ask, I'm on all different types of medications. Is this something that I can still participate in?
Yeah. So, I'll just read to you all very quickly the contraindications for one of our ketamine retreats. So there's not a lot. You can be on medications, but here are the contraindications. If you have ongoing alcohol or substance abuse or dependence problems, if you have a history of opioid use disorder, if you have active psychotic symptoms, maniac symptoms, or history of psychotic disorders like schizophrenia, if any of those things apply to you right now, you wouldn't be able to attend. If you have active suicidal ideation or you have a plan or intent, if you have attempted suicide in the last year, untreated high blood pressure, meaning if you don't treat it, you don't take any medication, this potentially could be a contraindication. This is something that you could still talk to our physician about. But if you're taking high blood pressure meds, it's okay. Congestive heart failure, other serious heart problems, severe breathing problems like COPD, elevated intraocular pressure like glaucoma, elevated intracranial pressure, or other serious medical illnesses. Also, if you're pregnant. Those would be contraindications. You most likely wouldn't be able to attend the retreat. If those things apply to you and you're still kind of wondering, maybe you're working through them, all you have to do is reach out to us and we will connect you with one of our physicians. You don't have to pay for the registration. If you pay for the registration, you have your medical assessment and our physician says that you don't qualify, you get everything back. So it's not like you're out anything, because people were wondering like, oh, what if I'm not eligible? You get all your money back, obviously. So then, but mostly anything else it's a very, very, very safe medicine.
So besides us and our amazing physicians, we do have another team member who I believe is one of the most special team members.
We do.
Can we introduce him right now?
He looks like he's in a slumber.
That's fine. Murph, come here. Come here. You gotta show your face to these people. Murph.
He's in a slumber.
Dude.
All right. Well, we're not going to show him right now. Well, listen, join us in our Keta Breath Facebook group, which the link will be in the comments. There'll be lots of pictures of our other team member, Murphy, our 35-pound golden doodle, who absolutely is fundamental in these retreats. He's sort of the therapy dog. So he's actually being trained as that right now anyway. But he's an amazing part of the retreat.
He will be there. Everybody has said so.
He will be there. So if you are interested in connecting deeper spiritually, we've had many people ask us this, like, hey, Em and Scott, I've done a lot of the deep work. I've worked through the shadows. I'm just more interested in connecting spiritually to my higher self, making that more a foundational part of my life. This retreat is for you. If you want to be a part of a community of people, because that's another big aspect. People want community. They want to be around people. And I know for sure those 9 people definitely created that. Then this is for you. If you're wondering, if you're scared, totally normal. I was terrified before we went. I asked him a million questions. I was so scared.
Not.
He was not. I was. So I understand that process. I completely understand. So if you have questions, you're curious, but you just don't know, all you have to do is either message me or schedule a pre-screening call, because we'll go over all of that with you.
Or join the group and you can just ask the group.
Yeah.
Join the group talks about it all the time. So and again, it's amazing just to be in the group. It's really amazing.
Yeah. So like I said,
and it's free.
The really important aspects for us is the ketamine and the breath work and the meditation, because for us that really connects the mind, the body, and the spirit, or the soul. And I really believe you have to have balance in all three of those things in order to live more fulfilled, happy, at peace, in harmony in your life. You have to balance all of those. You can't get so caught up in the spiritual world that you're not doing any of the integration or the deep work, but you can't get so bogged down in the mud and the gunk that you get lost in that. You forget the truth of who you really are. So that's why for us, that we always say there's 4 foundations to our retreats. The 4 foundational pieces to our retreats is the medicine, which is the ketamine, the breath work, obviously, which I'm a breath work facilitator, the music, because it's a huge aspect to it, and the environment. It's always important to us that we're picking these retreat centers that are in nature, that involve nature in the process.
Yeah. And, that includes food. So food is included in everything. I mean, you just come and then everything is provided for you. Yeah. Yes?
Yeah. So details of the next one is March 17th through the 21st. You check in on a Sunday afternoon, evening. We do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, full days. And then you check out Thursday morning before 11. It's in Sebastian, Florida at the Chosen Retreat Center, which is absolutely beautiful. Sunshine. I mean, Florida in March is amazing. We have early bird pricing right now, only till the end of this month. It's $2,222 until the end of December, and then it goes up. I can't remember, but it says it on the website, which of course I'll put in there. But that early bird pricing lasts to the end of December. That's all inclusive, like you said. So that covers your stay, it covers the retreat. The only other things that you have to take care of is your transportation, obviously, your flights, and then getting to the retreat center is up to you. There is a medical assessment. There's a fee for that you pay directly to the physician, and then you have to pay for your medicine. But other than that, everything else is included. So March 17th, Sebastian, Florida. We also are working on the next one that will be in June in Taos.
Actually, wasn't it May?
Yeah, I think the dates are May 30th to June 3rd, but I'll be putting information on that out very soon.
Back in Taos, because we had such an amazing experience here. So there you go, people. Ketamine and spirituality. Anything else you would like to add, honey? No.
You're done?
Nope.
Okay.
It was great. Timing's perfect.
All right, everybody. So thank you for joining us. If you have questions, like I said, reach out. I'll put all the info in
You're going to put the link to the Keta Breath Facebook group in the chat below. See, I'm just looking out for you. See?
All right. Love you all. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.